Good morning, members of the Long Point Bay community. Always a treat to be with you. We're going to grapple this morning with one of the most difficult gospel pieces I think I've ever grappled with. Doesn't make it the most difficult. Maybe it's just the most difficult from where I sit. But I think it's grappling with what is absolutely essential to the Christian path, to the Christian road, to the road that Jesus invites us on. And it's not one that we're familiar with, and it's not one I think that's held up in front of us as this is the way to go. But Jesus certainly does. So look at today's gospel. This is going to be a struggle, and if you find yourself disagreeing with me, I disagree with me too. I just happen to believe that what Jesus is doing and what he's saying is really true, as tough as it is. He's walking with his followers, his disciples, his closest allies, and as they're talking, Jesus says to them, "So who do people say that I am? What are people saying about me?" So they start, and using some of the images that would have been prevalent, messianic images, liberator, one who has come to save, to rescue, to raise up, to restore Israel, which is was always a national, still is a national hope. So Jesus, partway through it, cuts him off and turns to Peter and says, "Peter, who do you think I am? What do you think I'm all about?" And you gotta hear that addressed to you and me. I did. The minute I heard that, I thought, "So Jack, what do you think I'm all about?" You're asking me? Hear that addressed to you. What do you think Jesus is really all about? And what do you think Jesus is asking of you, of us? He turns to Peter in the midst of all of that stuff that messianic stuff that's going on with the 12, and he says, "Peter, who do you think I am?" And Peter starts with that same kind of messianic, hopeful kingdom stuff. And Jesus says, "Get behind me, you snake in the grass. You really don't get it." and there's a sense in which Jesus is absolutely right. But it's not just Peter. If you listen to the 12, that they're all going down the same road. And I think all of us to some extent do. Because it's really hard to hear what Jesus is going to say next. So Jesus obviously silences the 12 and Peter, and saying, by doing that, "This is not what I'm about. You really don't get it, guys." And then he begins to talk about his death. That he's going to die for what he's saying and doing. It's going to get him killed. Jesus wasn't stupid. It's not that he didn't know what was going on, both in the religious community and in the political community of Rome. He could see what was coming. And so he's talking about his own death. And then Peter tries to say, no, Jesus, this is not the way to... And Jesus has to say, "Peter, you've got it upside down. Your way is not God's way. It's a different way, and it's a different road." And continues to look at his death, his coming death. So, what does God ask of us? What is Jesus asking of us on this road? I think Jesus asks us to follow him. You understand that? To follow him. You know where that's going? Are you really willing to follow the one that's going to get himself crucified for what he thinks and for what he does. And I'll use one of the aphorisms that Jesus uses, and I'll tweak it a little bit. Before you really learn how to live, you really first have to learn how to die. Let me say that again. Before you really learn how to live, you really have to learn how to die. And I think that's absolutely true. I would never have, until this weekend, I would never have said it that way before. But I think it's true. We really have to, if you're going to walk the road that Jesus invites you, me to walk, we really have to sit down and think hard about what's involved. Have I done it? Yes. more dead ends. And dead ends, false starts, making what I thought were all the right decisions for all the right reasons and finding out I had my head in the wrong place. You can tease that one out if you want. And had to start over time and time and time again. And now, it goes to the end of my decision making, beginning to understand what all that was about, and why the choices that I made were dead ends. Most of you know that when I started out, my dream was to become a Roman Catholic priest for all the wrong reasons. And on the road discovered that they were all the wrong reasons, and that you could do that, but as I watched and as I looked and saw where it was getting the people who were in it, I thought that's not wrong. That's not what I'm about, and I don't want to go there. And ultimately, I don't want to be any part of that. And so, yes, ultimately, in the Anglican Church and the Diocese of Niagara, a whole different way of seeing and a whole different way of living and functioning and helping and making a difference. And now in the Diocese of Huron. Both communities, in the Anglican community, caring people, caring leadership. It's about how we help each other along this road. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we don't. But we're not above taking risks. We're not above taking chances, doing things differently. And I think we've gotten some of the things really right, and we took some chances. I am glad that all of my bumps and all of my scrapes and all my dead ends, at least I was smart enough to know when I hit a dead end. And said, okay, all right, let's pick another road. All right, let's pick another one. And so I want to leave you with what I think captures an aphorism that captures what I think today's gospel is about, and what our journey and journey together is really all about. And I'll put it this way. Before we can really learn how to live and how to live together, we have to first learn how to die. Learn how to die together. We really first have to look at dying, letting go, not being successful by all the standards that society will hold up to us. How do we really learn to live together and to pay the price But Jesus told us it's going to cost. It's going to cost you everything, and that's true. It does. Um, at this point, I can say, I've at least for the past. I'm trying to total up the number of years I've been in the Anglican Communion. 4 years. I've learned, and I think we're on the right track. We are thinking about how we on this road along which we die, bit by bit by bit, choices. It's also we're learning how to live and live better together. We had a clericus just yesterday, just a small group of us, clergy, and looking at how we're doing and the road we're on. And one of the things, there were a couple of things that struck me. One was that we are, all of us are in this boat together. None of us are outside of it. And we're all trying to struggle with, okay, what's next? And every time you think, okay, what's next is, and then you get the next bump, which throws you someplace else. This pandemic has been brutal. Somebody asked me, how are you doing, Jack? And I said, quite honestly, I can't remember a time when I have felt so disconnected. The things that I hold most dear and the things that I value the most are inaccessible. The Christian community as a community, I don't have access to it. Not in the way I once did. And we talked about that, and I said, and when this pandemic hit, one of the things that we did when we wanted to gather, we took away all of the things that enable us to gather as the human beings that we are. We can't touch each other. We can't sing. We can't eat. How do we connect viscerally with each other and reestablish? I said, when we come back together, we're going to have to rethink seriously how we're going to do this. And so we spent some time thinking about that. And Janet at St. Mark's said to me, for what it's worth, we're having a prayer group. We're starting one on Wednesday, just a small group. And I thought, that's a beginning. That's a start. Yes, I would really like to be part of that. So that's my intention. It's a little thing, but it's rebuilding. It's restarting. A big thing? No. But it's right. It's in prayer, and it's together. And if we look at how we shape the church, and that's us, the church. If it's around prayer, and I don't mean just saying prayers. If it's praying together, we'll get it right. We'll get it right. Why? Because I have every confidence in the world that God will be right in the middle of us. And sometimes we'll see Him, and sometimes we won't. But as long as we are together and looking and trying, we'll get through this. And we will be more, I think, I hope, the church that God invites us to be, not only for ourselves, but for the community that supports us and that we support. God bless. And remember, it's all about dying so that we might really live.